everyone, my name is Katie Dunn and I am with the City of Norton, and since a lot of our outdoor events are canceled or postponed right now due to COVID-19, we thought we would bring some of our outdoor chats online. So today we're going to be meeting with Phil Meeks with Wise County Cooperative Extension, and Phil is going to be talking about wildflowers. So let's go!
I'm Phil Meeks. I'm an Extension Agent for Agriculture and Natural Resources with Virginia Tech here in Wise County. And we're going to be talking today about some of the native plants that you may encounter on a hike. We live in a very diverse part of the world. And essentially you can find something in bloom from late February into November, whether it's a herbaceous plant or a tree. We've got a lot of biodiversity here. And whether you're interested in just seeing things bloom or finding the plants themselves, or even finding wild edibles or wild medicinals, this is a great place to do it. And I'm really blessed to have the mountains and the forests around Wise County, Norton, just to get out there and explore and see what's out there. The Lycopodium, it's a very simple, it's more closely related to the mosses than the vascular plants. And this again will stay green year round. There are several different species of this in this neck of the woods. And Lycopodium, if you do a search online for Lycopodium, you'll run across something called Lycopodium powder. And it's a combustible powder that you would see old photographers use when you see the Wild West photographers, and you see that flash, or magicians will do that flash, that combustible flash. And what that is just the spores from the Lycopodium. I don't know if they mix it with anything in particular, but it's marketed as Lycopodium powder. One common name is sweet Sicily, also called sweet anise. And another name is wild licorice, but it does have a real strong licorice scent if you crush that leaf. And all parts of this are edible. You can eat the leaves, you can eat the flowers, you can eat the stalks. And lots of times it's possible these will get big enough that you can use the stalk as sort of a celery substitute. But it's got a nice aroma to it. This colorless growth that you're seeing here behind the green, this is a parasitic plant, and it is an actual plant. It's called squaw root, also called bear corn. A lot of people will see this and assume they're looking at a mushroom of some type of fungus, but this is an actual plant. It doesn't have chlorophyll because it doesn't have to make its own sugars and food. It feeds off the roots of other plants, usually oak species that are nearby. So it's a true plant, just doesn't have chlorophyll, and you'll see this. Sometimes it'll be in pretty nice clusters, but it is an actual plant called squaw root. Little ground cover, it'll stay green all year, called Partridge Berry. You'll see it in some pretty nice masses, and it'll have a little red fruit that is edible and high in vitamin C. Basically flavorless, but it is an edible. That was Partridge Berry. This is a very obvious little plant called Pipssia. One of the other common names is wintergreen, although it's not a true wintergreen. It's just one of those names that's tacked onto it. We have another low-growing plant that's the true wintergreen in this part of the world. But the Pipssia has a very prominent pale central vein. It is used medicinally. It causes excessive salivation to help you expel toxins or something you might ingest that's not good for you. When I was growing up, this was called, the common name was rat's vein. I heard it called rat's vein pretty often. But later on it will have a pale waxy flower that dangles upside down, but just the foliage by itself is pretty impressive. Looks like a house plant of some type. So So we have a couple species of hepatica. We have the sharp-lobed and the rounded lobe. And this is a very early spring wildflower, so it's already bloomed for the year. But this one is a good illustration of something called the doctrine of signatures, where once upon a time people believed if a plant looked like a certain body part, then that plant could be used medicinally to treat ailments of that body part. And the hepatica is three-lobed like a human liver, and so it was believed that this could be used to treat liver ailments. Behind this painted trillium here, we have a cluster of these. It's a basal leaf with some very distinct pale pattern lines on it. This is one of our native orchids called rattlesnake plantain, and doesn't have, for an orchid, doesn't have a very showy bloom. It's kind of nondescript. But this is the bloom from last year, the seed head, that it was just a pale bloom that you might walk past and never even notice. But this is a true orchid, and it's called rattlesnake plantain because well, this will rattle when it's fresher. When you've got those loose seeds on there, this will rattle, and a lot of people feel like that pattern on the leaf looks like a snake skin.
You'll see a lot of heart-shaped leaves, and these belong to different violets. We have several species of violets that grow in this part of the world. From the heart-shaped leaves that are short and stubby to these long, slender, heart-shaped leaves. And then we also have one that doesn't have leaves that are heart-shaped at all. It's more like a crow's foot, and that's the bird's foot violet. But all the violets, whether they're purple, we've got purple ones, we've got white ones, we've got yellow ones, and all of them are edible and pretty high in vitamin C. But you'll see a pretty good mix of different species in the woods and also in your yards and gardens.
A lot of the wildflower guides that you find, they have photographs, and they always photograph the perfect specimen, and that's not necessarily what you see in the woods. And this one has a lot of drawings, and it's based on the leaves, the number of leaves and the spacing of the leaves, the arrangement of those leaves. And because it's drawings, that leaves a lot to the imagination. So if you find one that's not the perfect specimen, you can still use this as a guide, pin down exactly what it is you're looking at. But that's the Newcomb's Wildflower Guide, one of my favorites.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us today, and we hope you learned something about the wildflowers that you can find if you come out to Flag Rock Recreation Area or up on High Knob. And next time we're going to be meeting with Wally Smith, an Associate Professor of Biology at the University of Virginia's College at Wise, and Wally is going to be talking with us about the different amphibians and reptiles that you might be able to see if outside at Flag Rock or on High Knob. So we'll see you next time.